Hello and welcome back. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad to be back with you guys. My camera battery died, and to be fair, it was 10 years old, so it was pretty much, uh, it had lived a good life. Let's put it that way. So I ordered them, and then they didn't ship them for several days, so it took a while. Anyway, today I'm going to be starting on a new series. I will still be working on the doll houses, but I can't just do the doll houses and have my channel grow, so I hope everyone can understand that. So what I'm starting on is making some miniatures in the boho or bohemian style. Now, Google defines the bohemian style as free-spirited, unconventional, and eclectic aesthetic that combines different cultures and artistic expressions. It is characterized by, oh my gosh, I can't read my own writing. It is characterized by an emphasis on nature and organic elements and a refusal to conform to accepted conventions and beauty standards. And I have been watching several videos on different decorating ideas, and I believe the channel I've been watching is called Sweet Magnolia, and if that's it, I will attempt to link it below, but I do have some real problems sometimes with linking stuff. Not very good at that, but I will try. So what I'm doing today is I'm making picture frames, and not all of them end up exactly in the boho style, but I think most of them could be used for that if you wanted to. So what I'm doing is, right now I'm just coating these two frames with a base coat of black. Now I find that a lot of times, sometimes there's a need to base coat them in black, and other times I just, because the one I'm painting right now is polymer clay, and it is such a bright white, and so base coating it in black is just gonna, make it better, because different paints react differently, I've noticed, and maybe you've noticed that too. And sometimes if you use, a darker color underneath, it really helps out the colors above, especially if you're not doing a really heavy coat. And I usually just start out with black, so that's kind of how it goes. So I've got the one frame painted. Now I'm going to paint this one. And this one, if you stay to the very, very end of the video, past where I say my, thank you for joining me and all of that, I am going to take this outside and film it in natural light, because I think it turned out really well. And it's a difficult frame to get out of the mold, because the mold I ordered was off Temu, and it is so flexible that it is so easy to break these. So what I've been using on them is, it's a Crayola type of clay that I get at the dollar store and at Dollar General. And I believe Dollar Tree has it also. And it's very, I don't know if it's a paper clay, but it never hardens, so it makes it much easier to get out of a mold that's got so many little depressions and the holes in it like this one has. And so I found, and whether you take it out wet or dry, you run the risk of cracking this particular frame mold. And that's why I don't care for it in polymer clay or air dry clay. But with this one, once you paint it, it gets a lot more firm. And I was very, very careful, and even this one did break, but it did come out, and the break is not going to show. It's going to be, when I put the backing on, it'll all be held back together again. But yeah, it's a very difficult frame to get out of the mold. So if anybody out there has this particular mold and knows a really good way to get stuff like polymer and that out of it, please let me know. The frame, I thought about doing it in resin, and I saw someone else did do it in resin, and theirs seemed to have worked out okay. But my mold is kind of a white color, and I'm not sure that like UV resin would set up in it completely, or it would just take a very long time because the UV resin needs to be able, the light needs to be able to penetrate the mold also to cure it. So I don't know about that. I haven't experimented with it because I want to do it outside because the fumes are so nasty. But yeah, if you stay to the very end, I will try to put this in some natural light. We must have had a heck of a rainstorm last night. My peonies are out and they're beautiful, and they're just kind of flattened now, and everything is just soaked. So it's kind of dark again this morning. Looks like maybe it could do something, but not sure. The sun was out. But yeah, I plan on taking this particular frame outside if I can and film it. So be sure and stay tuned to the end, because it, in here and probably on the camera, it doesn't look so good, but oh my gosh. You put it in natural light, it looks like I pretty much got what I was going for. So yeah. I hope everyone is doing well. Here I am just trying to get into all those little nooks and crannies and all of that. Make sure I get that white mostly covered. I missed one little spot I see, but a couple, but they can be touched up. Not a big deal. But yeah, so it was a trick getting all the paint into all those little crevices, and oh wow, yeah. So I think now I'm just putting the lid back on my paint. Not sure at this point. Yeah, okay, so I've got another frame here now. Oops, out of frame, sorry about that. And I am several times, but I do realize it and get back in frame. And this one's just going to be an oval, and again, I'm starting with black on this one. So it's just kind of what I do. And see, I'm out of frame again. There we go. It's just making sure I got that whole little inside of, the inner part of the frame, because if I miss a spot, that's usually exactly where I miss it. So now I'm putting the black paint away. Finally. I think. I don't know. It's been a while since I've done. Yep, I put the lid back on. Okay. So I waited for the paint to dry, and now I'm back, and I've got a couple other frames here that I did, and these also are done in polymer clay. So I'm trying to decide on what color I want, and at first I was going to try to go for the boho look on these, and they probably could be used, especially the little oval one you're going to see me paint, but the other one, yeah. But I've got plenty of places I can use that. So I decide that I'm going to go with English Ivy Green, which is a really cool color. And like I said, at first this was supposed to be, the boho. And it dries darker than it looks, as paint does. And so I just started painting this one, trying to make sure I got all the little carvings in the frame, so there was no white again. And I'm sorry for showing you so much painting, but it's my process, and I was having some trouble with the video editor. I don't know, I don't know what I was doing. I've not had it happen before, but it kept switching my segments of video. It kept switching them around, and that would have just been a jumbled up mess. Oh, so yeah. So anyway, I'm just painting this little frame all in the English Ivy Green. Making sure I get those edges. I'm not worried about the back because I am not going to worry. I'm going to just be probably gluing it to a piece of brown paper so it looks like the photo backing. That's what I like to use. You hear any noises? I think they're having their annual car show here today. And there's a lot of people riding around on motorcycles because it's nice out. Okay, so now I'm going to paint that little oval frame. And I decided to see what the Waverly Antiquing Wax would do on it. Now, I have used it on air dry clay and it did work. But air dry clay absorbs and polymer doesn't. So I wanted to see, what was going to happen if I tried this. Oh, my. Okay, I must have put my foot down and turned my toaster oven on. It's not plugged in, but that was the timer on it, letting me know that that it's done. And I just use a toaster oven for polymer clay. So yeah, I didn't think it would do that. Okay, I guess it does. So anyway, I'm just painting this all in, and right about this time I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's just gonna sit on there really dark, and it's just gonna, it's and this antiquing wax you put on, and then you wipe it off, and it gives you a very, very nice wood stain. You can dilute it in water if you want. And at this point I was thinking, man, I probably should have done that because it was looking way too dark. So I'm like, okay, there's a little spot I need to touch up. And then I'm like, okay, I've got a paper towel. So I'm just going to take that and I'm just going to dab at it and see what happens. So as soon as I get done cleaning my fingers off, there we go. Now I'm just trying to delicately dab at it because these little frames are just so fragile. Even once the clay is baked, you can break them right apart. And again, I prefer polymer on these over air dry clay simply because it's getting them out. Even when they're dry, they don't like to come out. So, and it's another Timu mold that I'm using. Okay, so I'm showing you. It came out pretty good. I had light and dark spots. Look more like wood. That's what I wanted. So yes, in case anyone's wondering, the Waverly Antiquing Wax does work on polymer clay. So now I had to wait for all that to dry. So now I'm going to take this oval one that I just have painted black, and I'm moving everything out of the way, and I've decided I'm going to work on the oval. And I decided that I would try putting some raw umber on it because it might end up in Grandma's house being one of those really old frames. I call them bubble glass on them because the glass is rounded. And I'm hoping to be able to find something that I can use that will give me that bubble effect because I think that would be just really cool. So I'm just kind of I can't talk. I'm kind of airbrushing on some burnt umber here. Don't want too much. I want the black to show through, or some of the black. And I'm not satisfied. See, I'm still messing around with it. And in the end, I do something else with it after I think about it for a while. Okay, so I'm just wiping my brush off because when you dry brush, you don't really need... God, now I'm sitting there going, did I say airbrush? I did not mean airbrush. Rob, my brother's got an airbrush. I don't know how to use it. So anyway, yeah, I was just dry brushing, so I didn't have a lot of paint on my brush. So I was just wiping it off. And then I decided to use some metallic antique gold. I think it's folk art. And what I'm going to try to do here is I'm just try to just catch the edges, the tips of all the little carvings on the frame. I didn't want gold all over it. I just wanted to catch those little bitty lumps and bumps. Such a tiny frame, and it is so delicate. Every time I painted on it, I was scared it was going to break it. I put it down, I'm like, no, I need to show you guys. So yeah, and I think that turned out really cute. Turned out really well. It could be used with the Boho Style because this paint is not a bright gold. So now I decide I'm going to do this one. And what I wanted was a look of old dried out wood. So I decided, hey, you know what? This is getting pretty nasty looking here. I better put something down that, you know, you can actually kind of see what I'm doing. And I'm painting over the whole thing with some burnt umber now. Going over the black, and I am, but I'm not using a dry brushing technique. I want some of the black, a little bit of it, to show through on this one. So I'm trying to get that inside, and I missed a bunch, so I'm going to go over that with some burnt umber, and because there are actually noticeable white spots. But that'll be okay. Now I'm off camera a little bit, but I'm trying to get it down into the carvings, crevices, whatever you want to call them. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm getting the sides, making sure I get those. So now I'm just finding my next color of paint, and what I'm going for is an old dried out wood look. And when I do that, I don't like to let my paint dry in between coats. I like to just keep going so that the colors kind of blend together. And I'm really pleased with the way this one turned out. So as I said before, stay tuned to the end and I'll show you. I'll try to find some natural light. It's pretty dark right now out there, but I'll try to find some really good natural light and I'll show it to you. So right now I am just thinking about the next color I want to use, and I realized that I forgot a couple colors, so I'm looking for those. Sorry to make you wait while I'm doing that. And I apologize for talking so much. Voiceovers aren't my thing and they make me nervous. So yeah, so now I've decided on another color, and it was my gray, and so now I'm just trying to really lightly dry brush the gray on, but since it's early on, it's not a big deal, because there will be a lot more layers of color, and I believe in layers. I've said this before, I totally believe in layers. Excuse me. So having decided that enough of the gray, just little bits here and there, I think you can see my shadow shaking paint. I think the color I'm using right now is called Chocolate Bar, and it's an okay brown, but it's got a lot of red in it. But somehow I decided I needed that too. So I'm going to put some of that on. I really don't care for the color because of the red that's in it, but I do like it when I'm layering paint. And truth be known, you probably aren't going to see much of any of these other colors I put on by the time I'm all finished. And yeah, I'm off camera. I realize that. I'm trying to get into those little open spaces, and so sometimes I move what I'm working on closer just so I can see. And you'll see I'm shaking paint because I don't use a lot of these paints a lot of the time, so it needs to be shook up good. And now I've decided I need another brown in this. This I believe is nutmeg brown. I've had it forever. I can't even see the label on it, but it's still good. I'm betting this paint is at least 15 years old. It's still going. It's a little thick, but not anything I can't live with. So I'm just making sure I get some of that all over it, here and there. Hear any noises in the background? It's either Rob's out there now, and the cats are, I don't know, they do cat things. So if you hear any background noises, it's probably that. So I'm just looking at it now, making sure I get all the spots I want with it. I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, I decide, well, we need a little more here and a little more there. So yeah, I decide that looks okay. Put the lid on the paint. Now that I'm just wiping the brush off just a little bit because it's such a light color. So now I have decided that we need a little antique parchment. No, this is khaki. This is khaki that I'm going to put on to lighten it up a little bit. And this khaki has some kind of yellow in it. It's the color I used on the by the farmhouse dining room, by the fireplace in there. But I don't remember if I put a little bit of a yellow wash over that. It's been a while. But it does have kind of a yellowish color to it, which isn't really what I wanted, but it will start all my lighter layers. And so yeah, that's enough of the khaki. This is where I was trying to cover my paints, and I think this is the point where I realized, maybe not, but at one point I realized that I put the wrong brown paint lids on the wrong brown, this is it right here, and I realized that I had all my browns open and I started putting the wrong caps on the wrong paint. So yeah, I'm sitting here going, where is the lid to my burnt umber? And obviously I figured out eventually that the burnt umber lid, went on another paint. So I'm sitting here trying to cover all my paints up so I don't knock them over. It's what I do. It's just me. So yeah, I've now got all the right colors on, and I've decided that the khaki was a little too light, so we're going for some more burnt umber on here. But don't worry, all the colors show through in the end. Now I'm just putting it on and hoping I didn't get too much. But the nice part about this is that if you really are not satisfied with the outcome, you can go all the way back to the black or the burnt umber coat I put on and start all over again. So you really can't screw this up. And if any of you, when you see the final outcome, if any of you would like me to do a tutorial on this, I would gladly do it, because like I said, I don't think the video is going to do it justice, but we'll take it into some natural light and we'll look at it there, because it really turned out better than I even thought now that it's dry. Sorry, my nose is stuffing up and wanting to run. It's this weather. So if I sniffle, my apologies. So now I am using, I think, the khaki again, only I'm really trying to get most of it off my brush. Yep. And I got a little too much in one spot, but that's okay. Yep, there I go again. Way too much on the brush. Trying to hold it up to show you how I'm just kind of dabbing it here and there, and Trying to get that layer of color right. And it's coming out. I just, like I said, I don't think that the lighting in here and the camera are gonna really do it justice. So I'm just trying to get that color now into those little crevices without getting too much color, and for that I do need to move it closer. So then I got back to where I could use some, I was back up on the top of it. Whoops. Yep, that's me. I should call myself the haphazard crafter or the disaster crafter or something like that. So that's how it's looking at this point. And so I flipped the paper over because that side is getting rather nasty. Okay, so now I have that frame, and I'm just getting my paint shook up there. And this one I am now painting over. I had painted the black, then I went with the burnt umber, and now I'm painting the khaki over it. And this seems to tone down the yellow of the khaki a little bit, having it over the burnt umber. And so a lot of times that's why I layer my paint. I'm just trying to get those little carvings, crevices, whatever you want to call them. Just trying to fill those in now with the paint, because I don't want the burnt umber showing through. I mean, it's not going to be the end of the world if it does, but I don't really want it to show through. And sometimes getting it down, the paint down into all those little carvings on the frame without having a big glob of paint it's difficult. You know me, you know patience is not my thing. So I'm just showing you now what the khaki looks like over the top of the black and the burnt umber. And I'm not sure what I was doing here. Oh, this is where I decided that I was going to use some metallic copper. And again, I believe that's just the Folk Art metallic copper. It's a really pretty copper color. And I decided that the little green frame might look good with some of that dry brushed over the little raised areas. So that's what we're going to do. Just trying to lightly touch the tops of all of those little carvings so that it'll just, the copper will just sit right up on top of it and not coat the whole frame. And I'm making sure to get the sides as well, because they also have, the little detail. I'm not one of those people. I don't hold my things with tweezers and that kind of stuff. I just like my hands will wash. So we'll just go ahead and paint on my hands because my hands will wash. And then I'm looking at it up close and going, yeah, I need a little more copper, because I just didn't think that it just wasn't enough. So there, I'm holding it up, showing it to you. I think it looks really cool. I like it with the green under it because it's such a dark green, and then that copper is just such contrast on it. So now I'm taking the gold, and I'm just going to put a little gold on this one. I'm just going to try to dry brush a little bit of that gold on this one. I was sitting there and I'm like, yeah, maybe just a few little gold highlights here and there. Make it look better. And I think I got just enough on there that it just kind of, like I said, this is not a really bright gold, so I like it for that purpose, that it doesn't just glare, it's not glaringly in your face. So yeah, I don't know. It's like just little gold here and there. It just kind of, I don't know. It changed it enough to give it a, I don't know. I don't even know. Okay, so now I'm working on the frame that I painted khaki, and what I'm doing with this one is I'm just taking the dry burnt umber, and I'm gonna try to dry brush over that this one and just pick up the little details. And this frame actually is more detailed than I thought it was, because there's little at some on the, you know, side where it's closest to the opening of the frame, you can see almost little crosshatch like design in it. And honestly, I didn't even know that was there. Just on the sides, but it's very faint, and so I honestly didn't even know it was there until I dry brushed over. And you're not going to be able to see that one really well on this one. I got a little heavy handed with the burnt umber, and I could have went ahead and redid the khaki and redid the burnt umber, but it was looking okay, so I decided to leave it. I mean, it's going to be on a wall in a house. You're not really going to notice too much that, you know. But it definitely will go very well with the boho theme, I think. Alright, so now that we're done with everything, and yes, I'm impatient, on some I just believe in leaving the colors wet and mixing them together. So this is what we've got that I did with you, and that's the little frame there that I was going for a boho look. Looks rather natural to me. Now this one's always reminded me of tree branches intertwined, and I did my best to make it look like faux bark, but it didn't come out exactly like I wanted, but it's not bad, and it too would work with the boho theme. This one I did for Grandma's house. I just wanted it to look like one of those old oval picture frames I used to have. And the thing with those is they usually always had the bubble glass in them, and I'm going to look around for a piece of plastic or something that might give me that effect. That would be cool. This was just molded from an old earring. It was a post earring, and I just cut the post off and put it in a 2-part epoxy and made a mold out of it. And it turned out rather well. This one, I just wanted it also to look old and vintage, so I put the gold on it. I think it does. Oh, sorry, I can't see what I'm doing here. I got the camera in the way. And this one, I just wanted to see what a green background would look like, and then decided to dry brush the copper over all of the details. And I think it came out really cute too. And this one I did before without you, just to see. And when I was doing, I tried this one for the boho theme, and I dry brushed it. And this one I dry brushed, I would call it perfect almost. This is what I wanted the other one that I did with you to come out looking like. But I got a little heavy-handed with the burnt umber, so that one's a bit darker. Still good, still works, not a problem. So yeah, those are my little my little frames. And since the boho style is all about, artistic, expressing yourself, doing your own thing, I had these giant buttons and I didn't know what I was going to do with them. So yeah, we tied a little piece of twine in a knot, put it in the middle, and it can hang on the wall too. I hope you've enjoyed this. There's going to be more in my series of doing boho. I would say that these probably, yeah, they'd go with it. But they're probably, not exactly boho. Grandma needs some picture frames. The farmhouse needs some picture frames. So, whoops. Sorry about that. So yeah, wherever I choose to use them, I think they all turned out really cute. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you'll join me next time when we do some more boho. Thank you. Bye-bye. So just out here with the little picture frame, these are my peonies and what the rain did to them. And every time the peonies come out, we have a storm, and it kind of mangles them. These are the ones down on my step. They're just pretty much trashed. They're beautiful. My grandma planted these. Oh my God, the originals. Oh, I have no idea how long ago, but I'm sure it was probably the 50s. And they've just always been a part of our family, so very happy to have those. Anyway, I'm going to move over to my step, and here's how that little frame came out. I really need to clean my camera screen. I can't see what I'm filming here. The light and the glare, and in fact the screen needs a little clean, but yeah, that's how it came out, and it's got that really gray, dried out old wood look. Sorry if I was off camera. But yeah, I just wanted you to see it up close. It turned out really well. I'm really pleased with it. Even more so now that I see it out here. So yeah, and if anyone is interested in doing this, I would gladly do a tutorial for you. Anyway, thank you again, and you all have a great day.